What's going on, creators? I just want to get on here and bring everybody back to now. Appreciate y'all being here and vibing with me for a bit. Yeah, today I'd like to talk a little bit about the fact that you're always manifesting. You know, it's either you're manifesting what you are consciously desiring, or you're manifesting undesirable, fearful, tormenting situations unconsciously. So it's like I listen to like a lot of like people in like the law of assumption crowd, law of attraction on some level, but mostly the law of assumption crowd, where it's like, oh, this is how you manifest, this is how you do it, these are techniques to help you, blah blah blah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I find a lot of that helpful, but I feel like a part of like that thinking is like, oh, well, I can just turn this off and I'm only able to do this when I'm consciously aware of it. But it's like a big problem is that our beliefs, our assumptions, limiting or empowering, doesn't matter, will manifest. And so part of like moving in a direction of like creating more and more heaven in the here and now, or experiencing more of what already is in the here and now, is realizing that positive or negative, it doesn't matter. And part of like the hysteria and the separateness that comes with like manifesting more and more hell for yourself is in the past and the future being more important than the present moment, even though that's backwards. So it's like when you're desiring in the here and now, and you're unconsciously, like in scarcity, for example, it's like, oh, I just keep praying for more and more material, more wealth, more abundance, or whatever, to come in the quote-unquote future, and I'm going to be patient in the here and now, but be separate from it. You're pushing it away, so you're always then creating out of a scarcity mindset, which then that mindset, which is undesirable, then unconsciously starts to be your here and now state of being, because you're always like connecting with that, instead of the energy of like, well, with God all things are possible, and I can be, do, and have anything, and God's already blessed me with this. Like the only reason I don't experience that reflection is because I just don't believe it. So it's like getting out of like the it's going to come in the future is really important, because that future is unconsciously creating separation from the here and now, which is what you actually do desire. So it's like the more that you can put on like a state of like peace or joy or abundance, or any of these God-given attributes, realizing that you're already blessed right now, the old you that was cursed, is no longer the situation. So it's like you got to stop identifying with being cursed and expecting the same results of being cursed, to keep playing over in these loops, because it'll just keep being, it happens in circles, cycles. It'll keep coming back until you have let it go in consciousness, because we are always experiencing a reflection of our beliefs, our assumptions, our identity, and most importantly, our identity in relationship with God. So it's like the more that you realize that God is your source for every desire that you want to experience in the physical, it's like you connect spiritually with that first. Then as you already embody that new identity, then it becomes externalized in God's timing, which is always now, but the way it plays out in these bridges of incidents to materially manifest, that's in infinite intelligence's domain. It's like the more that you stop caring about the how, and start worrying about the timeline, it's like, put it on now, and maybe it'll take 3 days. It's like I keep experiencing major miraculous like kinds of shifts after 3 days, where like the things that have like virtually zero resistance, where it's not a big deal, it's just like, oh, I could care either way, that kind of shit happens like really quick. It's like, the more that you're able to just trust that God's going to make it happen. I don't need to know the how. I don't need to know the timeline for it to happen. It's already happened. It's like that's just the law of consciousness. It's it's reaping and sowing. So it's like as you put on like a new, think of it more like a mirror. Maybe make it simpler. It's like the mirror is always instantly reflecting what's going on now. So it's like you are constantly in the state of either creation now, or a state of reactivity. It's like you're reacting to your thoughts, you're reacting to beliefs and assumptions that aren't true or real. But you won't realize that they're not true or real until you stand in faith and trust what God says is real and true. And as you do that, then miracles and miraculous things start to happen, because it's like the old you that was constantly manifesting, and by manifesting I mean taking like inner ideas, thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions and bringing them into the 3D reality, to the fucking physical world, as a tangible thing. Like playing guitar is an example. It's like where, it's like I seen somebody doing that, I thought that was really awesome, I want to do that too. Then you take that mental image of like, I want to play music, I want to play these songs or whatever. Then you bring it to, I'm able to do that. I'm able to play these songs, I'm able to do these things, and where I seen somebody outside of myself doing it, now I'm able to do it. So and people are always manifesting, whether you're and I feel like that's a stumbling block to kind of let go of, is thinking that you can turn it on and off. It's like you're always doing it, and you're either doing it consciously or you're doing unconsciously. And when you're doing it unconsciously, a lot of times you're letting your fears manifest, not realizing it, because you're creating separation. You're separate from the material thing, you're separate from the physical thing, and we are all connected. Everything in reality is connected. It's you look at it biblically as like we're in the hologram simulation. Like in God we live and move and have our being. If you look at the external world as that kind of like a simulation, like a game, that all things exist, creation's finished, and you can have different perspectives of what is from different vibrations, is maybe one way to look at it. It's like a lot of the times it's just two people in a room talking. It's like, I can travel the world, I can do all this, and so I can just be in different rooms with different people talking about different things. And like with that, looking at what's possible, being all things are possible. Any idea of limitation, any idea of like, this is going to be difficult, this is hard, this is going to, that's a belief, that's an assumption, and that's an idea based on your past, past of being separate from everything, separate from your desires, separate from God, separate from all these things. When you're not separate from any of that, you're connected with all of that, and as you embody it in the here and now, it'll naturally reflect that new shift in identity. And as you move from an identity of like being a cursed sinner to being a blessed child of God, which you are a blessed child of God, that's who you are, that's who God created you to be, and the more that you just believe that, the more that you will see that being rewarded. So it's like it's really important to get into like the Bible and stuff to see what is actually in there, as far as like the promises of God, for example, but to just take it at face value, and just you don't have to recreate the wheel, you don't have to recreate anything, you just have to believe what has already been said. Here's a Bible verse to bring to you guys' awareness, for those that are trying to get some understanding, because a lot of like our old mindset, at least mine, it thinks about God as being like punishing and like judgmental and like constantly going to like take things from you. It's like to punish you and like get you on the right track. That's how God's going to discipline you, is by acting like a parent that just wants to, or a fascist, or somebody says like take your freedoms from you till you obey. But like the Bible talks about and this is stuff you find out for yourself, but like this talks about how you please God, and it talks about and this is in Hebrews, but it says like without faith it is impossible to please him. For he who comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. And so moving from like the old mindset of like, God's punishing and going to take and take and take and like hurt you and like make you suffer to get you on the right track, which is like part of like the old mindset of being separate, like some God in space is doing now, some external being is doing now. If you look at the teachings of Jesus, the kingdom of God being within you, and to seek the kingdom of God and God's righteousness first, before anything else, it's like, okay, well, how do I do that? It's like, how do I even please God? It's like our old mindset is like, oh, well, I got to do all these good things and be so good, and and I need to whatever. It's like it's not through our works that we please God. None of us, through our works, what am I moving around? What am I doing? It's the inner conversations and shit. But it's ultimately our faith according to the Bible. In Paul, in the New Testament, even goes as far as saying, with like anything not of faith is sin. So our faith is ultra important, and so the more that you believe that all things are possible, that you can be, do, or have anything, that you're already blessed, and it's like, why? Because Mike said that? It's like, no, because God said that in the Bible. It's just like, oh, the Bible was written by men, Mike. Didn't you know that? And it's like, okay, everything is placed in the here and now reality to make things easy. So it's like, okay, wherever you're from or wherever it's going on, it's like what's been placed in front of you to like, okay, this is truth, this is what is reality, according to God, and then just putting it on, believing in it. And so it's like the more that you believe that God is your provider, for example, is like the less that you have fear about money and how am I going to do these things, and it's like God's going to provide the means to do it. I don't have to worry about it. It's like, and by you having that faith then gets rewarded, because then what you're holding in your consciousness then becomes externalized in this kind of flow where you can start tangibly seeing it over and over again the more you test this, and like the more you test it, the more it grows your faith on either end of the spectrum, because then you start to actually then see too how your negative beliefs and your assumptions also become mirrored into your life, and play out that way too. These negative imaginings, based on fear, ultimately it's like there's really only one energy. There's either a lack of it, lack of love, of energy. It's like, what's love, Mike? It's like most of what the world calls love is some codependent fucking horse shit. It's like the world doesn't know what love even is. And so it's like, and if you're just coming out of like your old mindset, neither do you, for a lot of reasons, but you do know what fear is, because we all got really indoctrinated into fear. And so one of the ways to start exploring what love is to let go of what we know of fear, and you start doing that in the here and now. So it's like you start listening to like these like types of streams and people that are trying to share a different kind of energy, but you can kind of be harmonious in that energy for a while, but then when you like unplug and it's like, oh, well, now I got a shitty marriage to deal with, or I got a shitty home life, I got a shitty whatever, my health is shit, my job is shit, my finances are, whatever you're failing out or not doing that great out, instead of like blaming the they, that it's like, oh, the they is out to enslave and fucking do whatever to me. That's you giving your power to somebody else and putting them on a pedestal and giving them authority to tell you to do something, and then you obey it. And it's just like it's a cycle of that. It's like, but the key component in all of that is you doing that. It's like without your compliance, it falls apart. And so, moving forward, realizing that everything, there is no turning this off. It's like you're either creating more and more separation, which is more and more of a hell experience, more and more fear, or you're starting to connect the dots that, hey, God's actually is like happy with my faith and is rewarding me. Either way, God will reward your negative faith just as much as your positive, but yeah, it's like what kind of what do you want to create for yourself, heaven or hell? God gives you the opportunity to do both, and so it's really a kind of a relief to know that then too, because it takes away this fear of this secondary force that's like that you got to battle and resist. It's only in your mind, and it's only your assumptions and your beliefs that you're battling and resisting. And a lot of times we're holding on to the scarcity, and we're holding on to the hell because we're afraid of love, and we're actively trying to resist it, unconsciously, um, just because pride for one, thinking that they're right, but it takes really having a falling out from the world, where you see like all the shit that you got taught from the world, all of it is just bullshit and verify. It's like it falls apart under scrutiny, any type of real scrutiny. It's like, look at the COVID shit. It's just like any of this type of shit. Anybody with half a brain 2 years ago, oh, let's wear let's put a dirty rag on our face, and that will keep me safe from some flu. Is most people would have laughed at that, 5 years ago. But then, because of the groupthink, and because of like the cowardice, the just the amount of just sheep that just listen to the wrong guide and are following it off a cliff. It's just laughable. But I think I'm gonna bounce. I gotta go pick up a door. I get a bunch of shit going on, It's like I'm trying to just maybe take a week or two to just chill, but we'll see how that plays out. Hopefully I can, as I probably could, it's just I get a hard time saying no to, like, mainly because it's like, oh well, I feel like it's all part of this like bridge of incidents that if I sit in battle against, it's just prolonging things. So it's just like I just got into a habit years ago of just like with my business or whatever, anytime somebody calls and asks for something, it's like, yep, okay, yeah, okay, yep, okay. Yeah, we'll give it a shot. Yeah, and so I gotta load up the power wash a house, and pick up a door, and I'd like to start a fire, but it's like kind of raining, or it looks like it's gonna rain, so I don't know if that'll work out. But kind of want to play my guitar to record something. I kind of want to do some more original like type things. Maybe just jam on other people's like original music. It's like a session guitar or something like that. So if you have some like music, if you want like some session work or whatever from a guitar, I'd probably hook that up pretty quick. But like probably the easiest way to get a hold of me is through Twitter. Probably just send like a direct message. I think at Musco Music is my Twitter handle, and so other than that, I think I'm gonna bounce. So thanks everybody for listening, liking, sharing, subscribing, all the social networking things. I appreciate your spiritual support and your financial support. Thank you for that. And until the next now, God bless.